This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you for joining. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay,
Sunil, we can hear you.
thank you, Pushpak. So we have last session, we have understood the importance of Docker. Docker is a containerization tool, and whenever the development team needs an infrastructure, whenever development, 1 minute please. Whenever development team needs an infrastructure using Docker, we'll be providing the right infrastructure to the development team rather than waiting for the operations team to respond, isn't it? And we also have listed some important commands in the Docker. There are a few commands related to images. There are a few commands related to containers. There are run command options. Anyways, with today's session, we'll be more comfortable working with the practicals of Docker. Okay. Any application you want to have it on Docker, it's called as any application which is running on contain and running on Docker is called as a container. Any application which is running on Docker is called as a container. Okay, if you want to create a container, it's a two-step process. As of now, it's a two-step process. First step is to download the image. Am I right? First step is to download the image, and second step is to run the image. When you run the image, the container gets started. So let's proceed again. Let's log into AWS. Let's stop the instances first. Let's connect. Okay. Always remember, when you're dealing with Docker, always you need to work with hash prompt as a root user, because you'll be working as an operating system level point of view. Your commands will affect the operating system, so you need to be a high level user. Sudo switch user hyphen is a command which helps you to switch to root user. Every Docker command we need to run from the root user. Okay, next. Okay, whenever we need a container is an application which is perfectly running. Whenever you need a container which is running on Docker, the machine, this, let's say this is a machine on which we have installed Docker. The machine on which we have installed Docker is called as what? What is it called as? The machine on which Docker is installed is called as a Docker host. On Docker host, what we'll have a containers running on Docker host. Container 1, container 2, container 3. You can have a number of containers running on Docker host. Okay. Now, how to run a container? Whenever you want to run a container, it's a two-step process. I told you in the beginning. First step, what you need to do, you need to download the image. First step is to download the image. Once the image is ready, download it, then we run the image, so we get a container. So yesterday we have seen how to download the images, how to see list of images, how to see list of images, Docker image ls. Look at the Docker commands. Docker image ls is a command. To see list of images. How many images we have? Ubuntu image, Tom double image, Jenkins image. Okay, we have images. Right now we don't have any containers. Let's learn how can we create a container. Please have a look at it. I want to create a Tomcat container. Look at the first requirement. The first container what we are creating. I want to create a Tomcat container. When you need a Tomcat container, look at the command. Docker run. The way you should write the command is Docker run. What is the name of the image? Tom double E is the name of the image. You need to run the image. Your image name is Tom double E. This is the command to run the image. But when you run the image, the container gets created. When you are creating a container, it's a good practice to provide a name to the container. Hyphen name option is used to provide a name to the container. What is the name of the container? Container name can be anything. Container name can be anything. Hyphen name option is used to provide a name to the container. Okay. The name of the container, I can write it C1, or to be more comfortable, to be more related, it is Tomcat. I write it as my Tomcat. Hyphen P for port mapping. Hyphen P option for port mapping. Tomcat runs on what port number? We all know that Tomcat runs on 8080 port number. Okay. From the Docker host point of view, when you're creating a Tomcat container, from the host point of view, you need to open the port. The default port is 8080. Map it to 7070. When you run this, what will happen? Container gets created. When you run this, what happens? Container gets created. What is the name of the container? My Tomcat. And that container runs on which port number? 7070. Look at this. Tomcat is running. Please observe here, you're getting messages related to Tomcat. Yes, it's running. Now, how can you access Tomcat? How can you access Tomcat container? Take the public IP of the Docker host. Colon. The default port number where Tomcat runs on 8080, but we have mapped it to which port? 7070. So you need to mention your port number 7070. Please observe the message. Is Tomcat perfectly available? If you are seeing this, you have successfully installed Tomcat. Congratulations. We have done. We have installed Tomcat successfully. Clear? Clear about this. Actually, installing Tomcat is more than half an hour process. You can just run it in 2 commands and then your Tomcat is ready. Okay, so the first container is ready. Now, most important point. I want to stop the Tomcat container. I want to stop the Tomcat container, but if you observe, I'm not getting the prompt back. I'm not getting the prompt back, isn't it? When I have created a container, Docker run, I'm getting all these log messages. Finally, am I getting the prompt back? No, I'm not getting the prompt back. Now, how can I stop the container? So what I have to do, I have opened one more terminal. I open one more terminal, connect to the Docker host. Connect to the Docker host. And then again go to hash prompt. And then here you can stop the container. How to stop the container? Docker stop my Tomcat. Container is stopped. If you want to remove the container, all the files related to container, if you remove docker rm-f, you have completely cleared the container. All the files related to container is removed. Clear? Clear about how to create a container. You have downloaded the image, you have run the image, the container got started. Clear? So what is the run command option we have used? -hyphen name is run command option we have used. -p is a run command option. Yesterday I have given you some run command options. Please observe here. -hyphen run command options. -hyphen name used for naming a container. -p for use for port mapping. Used for port mapping between the container and the Docker host. Why should we perform port mapping? It's compulsory. It's always obvious. It's always important to perform port mapping because assuming that you are creating a you are running a Tomcat container. Let's say you are running one more container. Let's say Jenkins container. Tomcat default port number. What is the default port number of Tomcat? 8080. What is the default port number of Jenkins? Both. It's also 8080. When both the containers are running, if you take the IP address of the Docker host :8080, there's a conflict between Tomcat and Jenkins. Both are installed on the same Docker host. Which port needs to how to access the container? So that's the reason when you're creating, you need to map your own port. For Tomcat, I have mapped 7070. For Jenkins, I can map it to 9090. Whichever port I open, we need to map it so that you can run on your own port. Clear? Clear about this? Okay. Now, what this command will do, try to understand. What this command will do, try to understand. Pretty simple. Same Tom double image, same creating same Tomcat container. No difference. As usual, my Tomcat is the name of the container. As usual, like the previous example, port mapping. Tomcat runs on port number 8080, mapping it to 7070. The only difference in this example is -d for detached mode. -d for detached mode. What do you mean by detached mode? What is the effect of detached mode? Look at this. D stands for detached mode. This example helps you to understand what do you mean by detached mode. Look at the command. Look at the result of this. Tomcat is running. The difference is you got the hash prompt back. The concept of detached mode is container gets started and immediately you get the hash prompt back so that you can run the next Docker command. Last time we observed you got a lot of log messages and you're not getting the prompt back. In that case, what we have done, we have opened one more terminal. Now, I don't need to do that. Whenever you open a detached, whenever you create a container in the detached mode, the container gets created and then the control will be back to Docker host to run the next command. Now, if you want to check whether Docker is Tomcat is running or not, as usual, public IP colon done. So that is a point of detached mode. The new thing what we have learned is detached mode. When you use detached mode, the container gets created. Immediately you get the prompt back so that you can run the next command. Look at this. The above command runs Tomcat in the detached mode, so we get the hash prompt back. How to see list of all the containers, Docker container ls. We have only one container which is running. The image is Tom EE. Okay, this is the container ID. Every container will have a unique number container ID. What's the name of the container? My Tomcat is the name of the container. Okay. Yes. I want to start a second container Jenkins. I want to create one more container Jenkins. Look at the command. Docker run. Name of the image Jenkins. Name of hyphen name is used to provide a name of the container. What is the name of the container? My Jenkins. Jenkins runs on 8080, mapping it to 9090. P for port mapping, you already know. D for detached mode. Second container. Yes. How to access Jenkins now? Public IP of the Docker host. Colon. Port number what we have mapped? 9090. See, are you getting the Jenkins please? Please wait while Jenkins is getting ready to work. Perfect. Clear? We have created one Tomcat container. You have created one Jenkins container. So what we know is to how to run the image. Yesterday we have seen how to download the image. In today's session we have learned how to run the image. And how when you run the image, what happens? The container gets created. And you also know how to name a container. This is the hyphen name option is used to name a container. -p for port mapping. -d for detached mode. But I want to create a Ubuntu container. I want to create a Ubuntu container. Ubuntu is what? Operating system, not an application, isn't it? You can create operating system as a container also. You can create operating system as a container also. I want to create a Ubuntu container. Docker run. Ubuntu is the name of the image. Do we have image? Ubuntu. Yes, I have the image, so I can run the image. Docker run Ubuntu is the name of the image. Hyphen name is used to name a container. What's the name of the container? My Ubuntu. The new thing what we are learning in this example is IT stands for interactive terminal. IT stands for interactive terminal. What happens when you use IT? Try to understand. The container gets created, and let's say this is an Ubuntu container. Control enters into the container. Control will enter into the container. Yes. Right now, please observe here. Previously, I'm getting an IP address in the hash prompt. Now I'm not getting the IP address. Why I'm not getting the IP address? Because my control is not in the Docker host. My control is inside the container. It's not in the Docker host. My control is inside the container. My control entered into the container. So look at this. ls will show list of all the files. List of all the files in which container? Ubuntu container, not in the Docker host. It is showing you list of all the files in the Ubuntu container. When you write exit, the control will come out of the container back to my Docker host. Yes. Now I'm getting an IP address. The moment you're getting an IP address, understand that you're working in Docker host. You're working on Docker host. Correct? Clear? So the new example, the new concept what we have learned is IT stands for interactive terminal. Container is created, control will enter into it. So whenever you use IT, the control will enter into that particular container. Okay. Next. This we already have learned. Start a Tomcat container. Name it as web server. Name the container as web server. Perform port mapping. Tomcat runs on 8080, mapping it to 7070. Tom W is the name of the image. We already learned this. Jenkins container. Look at this requirement. Start Nginx as a container. What is Nginx? Like Tomcat, Nginx is also a web server. Okay. Nginx is a web server. Look at this. It's a web server. I want Nginx as a container. Okay, no problem. Look at this. To start Nginx as a container, name of the container should be app server. Run it in detached mode. You know how to run it in detached mode. How to perform port mapping. And it should perform automatic port mapping. The new thing what we are learning is automatic port mapping. -P for manual port mapping. You are manually mapping what port you want. But you can use P for automatic port mapping. Look at this. First step, what we need to do. Generally, first we pull the image and run the image. Am I right? What do we do? First we pull the image and run the image. Okay. Now what happens instead of pulling if I directly run the image? As of now, what we know the process is we should first download the image and run the image. Now we don't have Nginx image. We don't have Nginx image. Docker run. Nginx is the name of the image. Nginx is the name of the image. We don't have image, but still without image, I'm running it. Name it. Name of the container is app server. D for detached mode because we want the prompt back, and capital P for automatic port mapping. This is manual port mapping where you'll mention the default port number and your port number. I don't know the Nginx port number where it works. Let's run.
Done. I got the prompt back because it's a detached mode. Nginx is ready. Now how can I access Nginx? Look at this. If the image is not available, look at this, full operation is automatically happening. As of now, what we thought, we need to first pull the image and run the image. Now I don't need to pull the image. Without pulling the image, if I directly run it, if the image is available, okay, container gets created. If the image is not available, automatically pull operation will happen. Automatically pull operation should happen. If the image is not available, it performs pull operation automatically. Use capital P for automatic port mapping. Okay, now how to check whether Nginx is running or not? If you want to check Nginx is running or not, you need to perform the port number, right? Public IP followed with the port number, right? Like Jenkins. If you have mapped it, obviously in the command, you know the port what you have mapped, using that you will access the container. But here we have done an automatic port mapping. If you want to know the port on which the Nginx is running, you have a command called docker port. We have a command called docker port. Docker port followed the container name. What is the name of the container? App server is the name of the container. When you do this, you will got to know the port number. Look at the command, which is mapped. Look at this. 80 is the default port, which is mapped to 32678. 80 is the default port, which is mapped to 32678. So 80 is the Nginx port, 32678 is the Docker host port. Okay, or we can also, the other way to know the port is Docker container ls. To see list of all the containers, we have a command docker container ls. You can see the Nginx. You can also see 32678 is the IP address followed with the port which you needed, and 80 is the default port. So in both the ways you can know the port. Now you can access the Nginx by using 32678. Take the public IP. Okay, colon. What is the port number which is mapped? 32768. Welcome to Nginx. If you see this page, Nginx web server is successfully installed and working. Perfect. Perfect. Yes, it's running. So the new thing what we have learned here is capital P for automatic port mapping. Capital P for automatic port mapping. And one more important point, you don't need to download the image directly. Without downloading the image, I'll run the image. What happens? The image gets downloaded and it gets executed. Image gets downloaded and executed. Start CentOS as a container. What is CentOS? CentOS is also an operating system. Docker run. CentOS is the name of the image. My CentOS is the name of the container. IT, you already know it. What is IT? Interactive terminal. Container gets created, control will enter into the container. See, image not found. Unable to find the image, pulling the image. See, the image gets downloaded. Container is created. Interactive terminal. IT. So you're not getting the IP address here. What happened? Control enter into the container. Exit. Back to Docker host. Like this, you should be in a position. Like this, you should be in a position to create containers as per the requirements and perform port mapping, perform detached mode, interactive terminal as per the requirements. Okay, let's proceed. Let's look at a few more examples. Any questions? Bhargav, Dinesh, Pushpak, Sai, Taruni. Let's proceed.
One more example.
I want to start MySQL as a container. Till then we have learned web server as a container. MySQL is a database. We can create database as a container. I want to show you the database example. I want to create MySQL as a container. Open interactive terminal. You know how to open interactive terminal and create a simple table to check whether the container is really working or not. So MySQL, you need to have a MySQL container. So the professional way, first, whenever you are dealing with containers, first go to where exactly you can see all the images. All the images are available in hub.docker.com. What you want? MySQL. This is the official MySQL. What is MySQL? So Docker pull MySQL if you want to pull the image. And we all know you don't need to pull the image. Without pulling the image also, if you run the Docker run command, automatically pull operation performs. The most important thing is that supported tags. These are the tags. Tags are nothing but versions. You should be in a position to read the documents and get information when you're dealing with containers. These are the versions 5, MySQL 5, MySQL 5.6, 5.7, 8, 8. Latest is a keyword which helps you to get the latest image. Okay. Now look at this MySQL colon 5. What is 5 refers to? 5 refers to the version. You can write 5, 6, whatever it is. Okay. Now next point. Docker run MySQL colon 5. That means I want to run MySQL image of 5 version. Hyphen name is providing the naming the container. The name of the container is MyDB. Detached mode, you know it. You will not get the log messages immediately. You get the prompt back. The new thing here I am using is -e for environment variable. When you are creating container, when you are creating MySQL container, you need to use environment variable. The name of the environment variable which you should use is MySQL root password. The name of the environment which you should use is MySQL root password is the name of the environment variable which you should use it. The name of the environment variable is MySQL root password. The value which I'm providing is Sunil. Now, how to know that we should use this environment variable for this MySQL container? That for that you need to read some documentation. Look at this. How to use this image? Docker run. MySQL is the name of the image. Tag is nothing but the version. Hyphen name is used to provide a name container. Hyphen e for environment variable. MySQL root password. Here provide the password. So here clearly mention it. Got it? So you need to read some documents to deal this. Okay. So I got to know. So that's the reason I'm using this environment variable, providing the password. You run this. Image downloaded. How to see list of containers, Docker container ls. We have Tomcat container, we have Jenkins container, we have Nginx container, we have MyDB container. See all these containers you can see. Okay, so fine. I want to enter into a terminal of MySQL. So if you want in MySQL, whenever you want to write SQL queries, we write select star from table name. The terminal is called as bash terminal. The terminal where we write some MySQL commands is called as bash terminal. So whenever you want to open a particular terminal, in case if you want to write some SQL commands, docker execute
Docker exe stands for execute. IT stands for interactive mode. You know what I mean by interactive mode? You will enter into container. What's the name of the container? MyDB. In this container, what terminal you want to open? Bash terminal. So you're not creating a container, you are entering into existing container. See, you have entered into existing container. Using IT, whenever you want, whenever you know a particular container name, you can enter into that particular container. Okay. Now I want to connect to MySQL database. MySQL-u is for user. I want to connect with root user-p for password. The password is nothing but the MySQL root password which you have provided at the time of creating the container. If you don't do this, how can you connect to the container? Is it? See, you have connected. Welcome to MySQL. You're connected to MySQL container.
In MySQL, we have a command called show databases, which will show you a list of all the databases. We have MySQL is one database, information underscore schema is one database, performance underscore schema is one database, this is one database. If you want to connect to MySQL database, use database name, use MySQL. I'm connecting to one particular database, so database has been changed. Now here, if you want, you can create a simple table. I don't have the create command, but in this side there's a MySQL create table command. You can also practically check that. Query okay, 0 rows affected, table got created. Got it? So it's a practical table. Exit to come out of the database. Exit to come out of the container. That might talk about. Okay, clear? Clear? This is about how to create a containers. How to create a containers. So, any questions? So you know hyphen name, providing a name to the container. You know how to use environment variables. You know how to perform port mapping. You know how to perform automatic port mapping. You know how to know the port of a particular container by using Docker port. You know how to, if you we know UXCC, if you want to enter into a particular container to execute a particular command. Okay, so like this, we are in a position to create individual containers as per the requirement. You know, operating system. We have seen operating system as a container. We have seen database as a container. We have seen web servers as a container. So we are creating individual containers. Sometimes your development team will not give you individual container requirements. They want a multi-container architecture. Development team needs a multi-container architecture. What do you mean multi-container architecture? Please look at this. This is Docker host. Container 1, container 2. Both the containers should be connected to each other. We should establish link between the containers. This is called as a multi-container architecture. Linking two containers is nothing but a multi-container architecture. Why should we link two containers? Your development team needs linking between two containers. For example, your development needs PH, WordPress as a front end and WordPress as a front end as well as MySQL as backend. WordPress is a content management using tool where you can develop the websites, isn't it? WordPress should be front end, backend should be database. WordPress container as front end, backend is also one container, and when you enter some details in the form, automatically that should be entered into the table. So we can establish link between those two containers is possible. This concept is called as multi. This possible is this concept is called as multi-container architecture. Okay. Look at this. This multi-container architecture in Docker can be done in two ways: by using --link, by using Docker Compose. By using --link, in two ways we can create multi-container architecture. By using --link, by using Docker Compose. First, let's discuss about --link option. Start two busybox containers. Start two busybox containers and create a link between them. What is busybox? Busybox is a small Unix-based operating system. Look at this. Busybox is a small Unix-based operating system. So this containers I want, a small Unix-based container I want. Okay, so and both should be linked with each other, not just creating independent containers. First, we should link between the two containers. The new thing what we should learn is to link between the containers. Look at this. Docker run. Busybox is the name of the image. Hyphen name is used providing a name a container, naming a container. IT stands for interactive terminal. Container gets created, control will enter into the container. Look at this. Busybox image is not there. As we know, download operation happens already. Let's wait for the image to get downloaded. Please wait. So it will not take this much time. Looks like network has been disconnected. Let's connect to Docker host again. Can you hear me? Looks like some problem with the connectivity. I'm unable to connect to PC2 machines. we'll do one thing. Anyways, multi-container architecture is the first example which I want to discuss. This multi-container architecture will continue from tomorrow's session. Meanwhile, in today's session, please practice these commands. I'm sorry. Please practice these commands and learn how can we create containers using the Docker. Download the image. Image already downloaded. Create containers on user run command options, whichever we have discussed in today's class. In tomorrow's class, we'll discuss how to create a multi-container architecture. Hyphen link is the easiest way, and practically more we use Docker Compose. We'll experience both the ways of creating multi-container architecture by using hyphen link and by using Docker Compose. Okay, so this we'll discuss it in tomorrow's session. Okay. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you, Pushpak. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Tarun. Thank you, all and all. Bye bye.